Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I want to talk about negative thinking or overthinking. Actually, negative thinking or overthinking is the same thing. And I want to talk about the damages of overthinking or negative thinking and reasons and how to get rid of negative thinking. Let's know what the scientific says about overthinking. Thinking is a process of realizing of the human mind to solve every problem encounters. It means the problems like daily problems or faithful problems that you have to decide about them. Thinking is a good and natural activity, but thinking constantly about all things big and small makes a person tired, especially if it goes beyond a normal limit. This type of thinking causes many problems for the person who suffers from it, such as sleepless sleep and insomnia. He has to live. And what is the solution? A person must be aware that life is incomplete and that there are many different variables that attract attention or distraction, and that the large number of thinking distancing the person from reaching his goals and wasting opportunities and time. What are the damages of thinking? The first one, a person who thinking too much may become insecure. What the meaning of insecure? It means he can't trust himself and he can't trust anyone near of them. The second one, nervousness. Actually, nervousness is like a sign. You can't know someone if have a problem about thinking negative or something like that. He all the time nervous. It's the most common thing is for people with a lot of thinking. The third one, the negative attitude towards people and perhaps towards many aspects of life. It means you have a problem. You are thinking negative. Also, you think about the pupil towards the pupil. You think that they are also have this problem. The fourth one is inability to make decision, even decision not faithful. If you have to decide about something faithful, it's okay to take some time. But it's like if you have to decide about something like a daily, for example, someone asks you to go out. There's no need to take a time. You have to just answer him by yes or no, or yes or no. Overthinking makes you secluded person from the real life. What's the meaning of secluded? Secluded means you all the time like sitting in the home. You don't go out, something like this, and makes you living in fantasy to instead what you miss it in the reality. That's very important. You have to do something with that. Life living is fantasy, something bad. The reasons. What the reasons make us to think negative, lead us to think negative. Negative thinking doesn't come vacuum. It means it's like an illness made by humanity, made by mankind. It's not natural illness. It must have a reason behind of it. The first one, the cancer and hardship of life, lead to negative thinking about things. It means that's when we can't do anything about it. For example, our community like that, we have to accept it. A failure. The second one is a failure. There's a quote. It says, "Failure isn't against with that." One of the important reasons why person thinks negatively is his fear on one aspect of his life, such a failure in his knowledge, marriage, or solving problem. That's clear. So don't need to explain. The third one is the weakness of personality. Maybe subject of reflection negatively is pegged with a feeling inability of solve problems. The fourth one is isolation and introversion. Kagali, I want to ask you, do you want to explain this point? What? Isolation and introversion.
I don't know.
You don't know, okay. Isolation and it's the same thing with being secluded. Are reasons that affect not only thinking but on all a human life. Family. The family may have a special role. For example, comparison between a family member with another from another family. This all calls or for thinking negatively. Also, comparing pessimism and those who with negative thoughts. A friend affects his friend very much, positively or negatively. The last one, free time. If you doesn't exploit it well, it makes you permanent thinking without benefit. How to get rid of overthinking? The first one, you have to find out why you are thinking. What's the thing you are thinking about? Is that worth you are sitting and think about it? The first step to putting an end to excessive thinking, to know why. That's very important. The second one, speed in making decisions. It's one of the easiest way to stop thinking by giving deadline to making decision. Giving deadline means you have to put a time like alarm in your phone to making decision about something if that was hard on you. The third one, the verb instead of saying. The first step is usually the most difficult but important too. Instead of continuing to think about changing something or doing something new, you must take a step. Also the reading. It's a way of interacting with life, also doesn't require a lot of energy, and awareness increases. This makes the person in control. But we have to be very careful what we read and what is the writer and read his books. Expect your best. The fear that grounds overthinking is often based feeling that you are not good enough, and you are not smart enough or hardworking. Once you are given effort, your best, accept it as such. Stop waiting for perfection. We all have a weakness point, and there's no wrong with being a second. The last word is, overthinking is something that can happen to anyone, but you have to great work of some of negative, anxious, stressful thinking and turn it into something useful, productive and effective. Thank you for all.
Thank you, Kabila. Do you have any question about thinking?
Do you think positive thinking every time have a positive result?
If you take a lot of time, yes. If you take a lot of time to thinking positive, it makes you feel in the past.
Thank you.
Another question, please.
Thank you, Gina.
What should we do for positive thinking?
Like, what do you mean? Explain
What
it.
should we do for
Don't
positive
think
thinking?
negative. Don't think negative. It's in this time. For example, someone in his age, like 16. I thought that presentation is for those in 18 to 20. All of us will have to pass these tests. Don't think negative. You will think positive.
What should we do when we was failed in the positive thinking? What should we do? When we fail in the positive
you shouldn't
thinking?
stop. You have to try. You have to hard work. You have to pass this test.
Yes, but sometimes we fail. We cannot
Actually,
continue the thinking.
failing is a part of being successful. It's
Yes,
not
that's
against.
right, but,
It's
yes.
not against to be.
but sometimes you
Yes,
cannot try again.
Why you can't try again?
Sometimes
You must have a reason. You must have a reason why you can't try again.
we can. For example, you thinking about good life. For example,
You have to,
searching
you have,
for
actually,
good
you have to do some comparison between your real life and what you want.
Yes. For example,
For example, you
someone.
have $100 and you want a car for $10,000. Can you buy
Yes,
it?
for example, someone failed when he want to get a wife, he want a beautiful wife, a good wife, but when he got married, he, for example, his wife is not very beautiful and his wife is not so good. It's sometimes he cannot
You
try
should see a
again.
doctor. You should see a doctor who
Yes.
have a very experience with this.
Yes, but maybe after 1 year you can't do it.
There's another.
I mean, you can't. When you fail, everything you can't try again for everything.
All the time you can try again. There's
For-
a lot.
For this situation, you can't try again.
Sometimes you can't. You have to accept your best. That's the life. That's the
According to
reality of
research.
life.
Thank you so much, Kabila. Do you have any question? Actually, your topic, Kabila, is so difficult even in Kurdish language.
Yes,
Uh,
actually, I talked about
But
it.
I wanna give all of you the same suggestion actually for having the slides. Actually, there are lots of writing is there,
Actually, I
and
wanted
it's
to
actually
present it
it
without-
made the audience or the participators, the attendants actually boring. That's why you should, inshallah, for the future.
Actually, I wanted to
write
present
in
it
the
without art.
summary of the topic. But then I want to ask you a question. Do you think actually thinking a lot is a damage?
Yes, I think so. It's my opinion. In my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You are
actually,
free with your
because,
opinion.
yeah, thank you so much. Thinking, yeah, as you chose for talking about is so important because thinking is like a child in our body. It has to be born. Yeah, if this child dies, a part of us die too. That's why we should think and think a lot. But as you said, thinking a lot maybe sometimes is dangerous or it damage actually. It's damage. I don't think so as my opinion. Thinking is a factor to compose.
That's
To
right.
compose, of course, many essays, many articles. Because when you think, you can write. When you think, you can speak. Even is a factor to melt the phrasing words in our mouths. When actually you are shy, you cannot speak. But when you think, of course, it will be the factor to melt the words to come out and change to speech. Thank you so much,
As I said,
Kamila.
it's for those in 16 between 18. This
Thank
for
you.
the young.
Yes, thank you so much, Kabila. You presented very well.